Hey guys, welcome back to the Cool Classic Kid Show, and today I have a little bit of a response video. And this response is to Puerto Rock 77. This is in no way disrespect at all. Matter of fact, I respect Puerto Rock 77. I've been watching him for years. He was one of the first YouTubers that actually made me a mod on his channel, so shout out to him for that. Much respect. This is just simply a conversation, a response, a dialogue. I don't necessarily agree with, some of the sentiments that he's putting out there, but it warrants a discussion overall on one of his more recent videos, and that is hardcore Xbox gamers have a huge problem on their hands. Now, to me, I think that this is a problem that both, hardcore PlayStation and Xbox gamers both have. Porter Rock himself is a PlayStation dude, and for the most part, I think he has a very level head. We don't always agree on stuff, but I think overall, he's a very intelligent person, and I do value his opinion, if it be from a position that I don't necessarily, a position that I don't personally have that he happens to have, which is from a PlayStation gamer's perspective. To him, he thinks that hardcore Xbox gamers have a huge problem because Xbox now caters far more to the casual audience than ever before. And this used to be different because, well, prior to, Xbox Game Pass, as well as the Xbox Series S console being an addition to this current generation, back in the day, it used to be like, the hardcore gamers would essentially buy more games. And they would be catered to because, well, they constantly buy software. And, the casuals, they kind of jump on board later. They'll get the games cheaper. They'll get the console cheaper. They don't really buy that many games. They get your handful of games, some of the, normie releases and whatnot. While I understand his sentiment on what his definition of hardcore gamer, as well as, more casual gamer, I agree with some of his sentiments, but overall, to me, hardcore gamer is somebody that sees video games primarily, more than anything else, as an art form. For me personally, video games are no doubt art. Now, do a lot of video games not indulge in artistry relatively at all? Yeah, certainly that's the case, and I don't really value them. That's why when a Call of Duty comes out and I happen to be interested that one year, I don't bother buying a physical copy of Call of Duty. It's worthless to me. It's not worth preserving. Whereas something like Dragon Quest XI, for example, I owned that game like 3 times. So, I have a distinguishing view on what is art and what is not. But overall, I personally I advocate for art, artistic freedom in the gaming space and less censorship, because video games are art to me. And while some things obviously are completely unacceptable, I think that most things should obviously be able to be discussed in an art form. That's why, film as well as music has partaken in some relatively questionable things. If it be, violence, really dark stories and whatnot. I wish that developers wouldn't shy away from being more, I guess, for adults, in a sense. Not like, I'm not talking about sex games, guys. I'm talking about more really gritty stories that talk about serious themes. A lot of games are really scared of doing that. A lot of these companies won't even allow that sort of stuff. It was more so acceptable PS2 era, really. But overall, I see video games as art, and I fight for the art form, and I fight to preserve the art form. So I collect a lot of physical media. And to me, well, just getting into the generalization, his argument is that hardcore gamers have a serious problem on their hands because Xbox has pretty much given up on them, and hardcore gamers don't hold the value that they used to because of Game Pass and a Series S. Casuals will just jump on board the cheap console, get Game Pass, and they have instant access to hundreds of games at their disposal. Whereas, and that's where they want to go. They want to go the overall, the subscription service model. And to me, while while I support the subscription service model because I support having more options in the gaming space, if it be physical media, digital media, or subscription service based gaming, I support all of it because I think that any option is, more options is overall a good thing for people to indulge in this art. But I do understand the sentiment that, yes, the Xbox console, is very much appealing to the casual because, well, they want a bigger audience. But they're also taking the Xbox platform and making it, they're bringing it to PC. They're bringing it to mobile. Now, to me, PC has more of a hardcore audience because the level of entry is far more steeper than a console. Console, besides the basic updates and whatnot, it's plug and play. Pretty much a caveman can do it, like sort of deal. And that is why, to me, I don't really see his view of hardcore gamer, versus casual. I think that he doesn't see the full picture here, where PlayStation essentially has done the same thing, where they are appealing more to the casual audience, more than last generation, more than the PlayStation 3 generation. I believe that they went too overboard, obviously, PS3 generation, and I think, PS4 generation, they did a decent job of balancing both hardcore as well as casual. And overall, I was relatively happy PS4 generation, given there were some issues. But overall, I could justify the purchase. Now, with the PS5, I mean, what really has PlayStation not done that Xbox has already done? I mean, they don't really have a specialness to the consoles. They are putting their games on on PC for more sales, and that doesn't necessarily appeal to a casual audience, but they're willing to throw their games in other places, given not as extreme as Xbox, but they've also made a cheaper console, given it's different. The Series S is a down-spec'd Xbox Series X with no disk drive. What did PlayStation do? Now, PlayStation did it differently, where I think they were smarter about it. They have a console that has no disk drive, but is as powerful as a PS5. If you don't want to spend that $500, you could spend the $400, but you don't have the ability to buy physical media. You don't have the ability to do that. And casuals are willing to give that up because casuals don't really give a shit about physical media. And to me, that's a big problem that I have in gaming today. I value physical media because I believe in preserving art. And that's why I collect a lot of it. So now I'm in a situation that I absolutely hate, which means, like, this generation, I haven't really gotten many collector's editions of video games because most collector's editions now just have a digital code with a steelbook. What the fuck is a steelbook going to do for me if I can't put a disc in it? But yes, that is a rant for another time. That still pisses me off, and that's why I don't buy collector's editions anymore, because collector's editions aren't actually for collectors. There's some sort of bastardized attempt at being a collector's edition, but it doesn't. They're not for collectors. If there's no physical copy of the game in a collector's edition, to me, it's just not for collectors. You're trying to find some form of in between, or make collectors buy another copy, or make collectors settle for less. So to me, PlayStation has done it certainly smarter in not downgrading the power of the PS5 with the digital model, but they're still doing the same thing. They're making a cheaper entry point. And like I said, casuals don't care about physical media, so they're just okay with buying a cheaper entry point console. And then what do we have with PS Plus? Well, PlayStation implemented a tier system with PS Plus that does mimic Game Pass, just not as fruitful, at least to me. Now, PS Plus has like 3 tiers now. I have regular PS Plus because it's online. I don't really use my PlayStation nearly as much as I used to, so thankfully I got like 5 years of PS Plus for like half price. So that was like a couple of years ago now, but thankfully I did. I mean, it'd be kind of a shitty hit if I had to buy, 60 a pop just to, play games once in a blue moon on my PlayStation 5. But then you have the other tier system that offers the abundance of games, the instant access to hundreds of games. I think that PS Plus offers more. So if you have no library of games, which a casual by Porter Rock's definition of what a casual is, a casual buys only a small handful of games yearly or even generationally. This appeals to casuals because it's an entry point in which they have instant access to hundreds of games for a reasonable price on a monthly or yearly, monthly or yearly subscription. How does that not do the same thing as Game Pass? Except, like I said, it's less fruitful because you don't get the latest PlayStation exclusive releases day and date. For me, the last time I was super hardcore about Xbox 360 in terms of it being my primary driver, my primary place to game, that was 360. And I kind of fell out of love with Xbox when they were just doing the nonsense with the Xbox One early on. I was like, nope, I don't care. I was so upset that I actually sold my 360 as well as my 360 library. That's how upset I was. But, and I jumped onto PlayStation 4 and whatever, man. I ended up being like, I just want to own everything. So I have instant access to everything. I own all the consoles. And it's because I want instant access to whatever art happens to release that is a video game. I don't want to be locked out of anything. That's my sentiment just about every generation. I give just about every console handheld a try unless there's something really blatantly wrong. Now, PS Plus, like I said, it's for casuals. Then there's like the higher tier, like premium version that I don't even know what, like cloud gaming, which is also like casual to me. Like that's like, oh, I can cloud game, like instant access for, a certain, a subscription service. So you have Game Pass, you have PS Plus, you have two cheaper console models. How is that necessarily different? To me, the only difference is PlayStation is just smoother at selling hardcore gamers that have been on PlayStation. That they're still beloved and appreciated as much as they were last generation and whatnot. They're just smoother at it. Xbox really isn't, because overall they're in a losing position right now, but they're trying to position themselves to be ahead of the game come, generations in the future. They're laying down legwork for the next 10 years as opposed to next year. And do I agree with that? No, not at all. I think that they need to do better. And at least this year, I think they're starting to get their foot in the right direction. I don't know. I don't jump to conclusions. I have to see results. And Redfall is definitely not a positive result. But we have Starfield to see. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, PlayStation's just better at selling hardcore gamers on a lie. I was all in on PS5 before PS5 came out because, they were saying this console's for the hardcore audience. And thus far, they have done really nothing to appeal to a hardcore gamer. I don't see it. Besides the advancement in the controller. I think the DualSense is awesome. I mean, it breaks fairly easily, but I do see the level of artistry put into crafting a better controller experience. But to me, yeah, everything that was hardcore about PlayStation has depreciated. That's why I just don't really care about the console experience. The console experience itself, there are budget blocks for casuals that don't really care about having a say in how they play their games, what they do with their games. They don't give a shit about that. To me, I like PC gaming because, well, I'm in like my hippie zone on my PC. I built a PC. I bought all these expensive components and built at the worst time period possible to to play Stardew Valley, to play anything I want when I want, and not being told when and how I can consume said media. If I have a serious problem with a company that happens to be not really about the artistry, I can protest. I can do whatever I want. My PC experience goes as far as my knowledge does. That is really the only thing that holds me back. Whereas with the console, you kind of just accept that you're going to be told how you can consume, what you can do, what you can't do, and just keep it moving, because overall you just don't care. You just want to plug it in and let it work. And I like that experience too, don't get me wrong. It's very like chilled back casual. But to me, I just think that both Xbox and PlayStation, this generation specifically, have forsaken the hardcore audience. Given, like I said, Xbox has done it more in your face because, well, they're just like, well, if you don't want to get on board, we'll just throw our games out there to more people and have Xbox available as a platform across different hardware. Whereas PlayStation, they haven't really decided, they haven't done that. They have this way of balancing appealing to hardcore audience in a way that to me is not genuine. While they're just like, yeah, we're not going to do that stuff that Xbox is doing. They are putting their games on other places. They're just going about it differently. They're trying to control it. They're doing it in a way that is smoother. So they're just better at marketing, man. Xbox hasn't been very good at marketing at all. They don't really Xbox has no problem dropping a Redfall, whereas PlayStation, they don't really do that. And I have to respect them for that. But then again, PlayStation also hasn't really dropped anything this year from their first party. Hopefully Spider-Man comes out this year. We'll see. But yeah, guys, this is a good discussion. Shout out to PorterRock77 once again. His video will be available in the description below if you want to check it out. You may not agree with it. You may actually agree with him, and that's completely fine. Overall, I appreciate that he sparked a conversation, and I hope he valued this video in some way, shape, or form. And if you would like to respond to my response, he's more than welcome to do so. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about this. If you can, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me over on Twitter or Kick if you'd like to continue the conversation. And yeah, well, that being said, I'm out. Peace.